In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the engine valve covers on this BMW 550i. These are going to be located at the top of the engine on both sides. Let's get into it. In the trunk, I'm just going to pull this spare tire cover up. We can access the battery under here. There's a push pin right here. This one just twists out. There may be another one on the side here. This vehicle doesn't have it. You just want to pop those out with a trim tool. And just grab this cover and it just twists out. Now we're going to disconnect the battery. Use a 10mm wrench. Loosen up the negative terminal. Take that off. Slide that out of the way. We're going to remove this cover, use a 10mm socket, take these nuts off. Grab the cover and just slide it up, out of the way. Now grab this weather strip, just pull this up, out of the way. Disconnect the connectors on the two sides here. This one's for the hood sensor. Just push down. Same with this sensor, just push down. Take the wires, get those out of the way. Using a 13mm socket, there's a wing nut right here. Just twist it about 90 degrees. Just use a straight blade screwdriver. Pop that off. And it slides up and out. Set that aside. And we'll do the same on the other side. 13mm socket. Loosen that wing nut. Pop this clip up. And pull that out. And we're going to take this lock off, just use a straight blade screwdriver. There's a little tab right here, and then this whole thing slides out. That's where the tab is. Using a T25 socket, there's a screw right here. Take that screw out. We're going to do the same on the other side. Take that off. Take this panel off. Pull that up and out. Do the same on this side. Pull that up, out of the way. Then using a 13mm socket, loosen up the wing nuts here, 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 in the middle. Then grab this panel, up and out. Over on this side, same 13mm socket, loosen up the wing nuts, grab this panel, and take that one out. We're going to take this brace off, use a T45 socket, take these bolts out. This right here where the positive cable is attached is not attached to the brace, that's just separate. And I'll go to the center here. Those out, and right here. Grab the brace and slide it out. We're going to pull this cover off, just grab underneath, just pull outward. That comes right off. Now we're going to remove the reservoir and just move it to the side. Use a T25 socket, take these screws out. Pull the reservoir up. There is a connector down below. Just disconnect the connector. Push down on the tab. Slide the hose out of the way. And we'll just leave that there. Now we're going to do the same with the power steering reservoir. There's a connector on the bottom. We'll just disconnect that. Then we'll take these two nuts off. Using a 10mm socket, take these nuts off. Grab the reservoir. You just pull this to the side just so you have more room. And just try to secure this out of the way, just using a bungee. That's good there. Using a 5mm hex socket, we're going to take these screws out of this cover right here because we want to be able to move this wiring harness up a little bit. Raise this cover up, and this wiring harness, we'll just raise it up. You just raise it out of the way. You don't have to pull it out completely. Same with this harness. You can use a wire tie and just pull this out, or even a bungee cord. Move this over there, and that's just out of the way. I'll disconnect some of the wires, just grab the connection back here. It's another sensor right here, disconnect this one. If you're struggling with this, you can use a pick. There's a little clip holding that in. There's another one down here. Try not to pull it by the wires. Just grab the connector. Same with this sensor. It's just a little clip. Pop that off. Now using a T25 socket, we're going to take these ground wires off. Take these screws out, and this one as well. Just move that wire to the side. We're going to remove these brackets. We're going to use a E6 socket. Take these bolts out. Take that off. You can do the same on this one. And pull that off. Then we can disconnect the connectors for the coils. Just push this little lever up. Do the same on the other ones. As you push it up, the connector comes out. Here we go. Now we're we're going to pull the coils out. I'm just going to label them 1 through 4, front to back. This one, just so you put them back in the correct spot. There we go. Grab the coil. And just pull it out. You might just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. There we go. For this back coil, this bracket is in the way, so we're going to take that out. Use a 10mm socket, take these 2 nuts off. Just grab this hose, pull this out a little bit. And just with the bracket out of the way, let's pull the coil out. It's a little tight. Now the wiring harness is clipped in. You might want to use a pick. Just get under the clips. Let's clip there and clip there. Pop that out. And we'll just push that to the side. We've got a hose right here. We'll take this hose off. Just push down. Try to wiggle that hose off. Be careful, this is plastic and it's pretty brittle. So in the center here, we'll just push down on this little lock. Pop this out. And then on the opposite side, we're going to pop that out as well. Just push down on the tab and pull that side out. Just set that aside. Disconnect the connector on this motor. Just push in the 2 sides and it slides right out. Just set that aside. Now we're going to remove these screws for the servo motor. We're going to use a 4mm Hex socket. Take these out. And we got the last front one. Take this out. And this is going to be spring loaded in there. So I'm just going to push down on the motor. Just see if that. Pull that out. Grab the motor. It's just going to slide up. Pull that out. I'm going to take this adapter off. There's 4 screws there. You want to use a T25 socket. Take these out. Tape this up, pull that out of the way. Using an E6 socket, we're going to take this bolt out for this cam sensor. Take that screw out, grab the sensor, give it a wiggle. And pull that out. And there's another cam sensor down here. We'll do the same socket. Take that one out. And pull that sensor out. We'll take this plate off, use that E6 socket, take these screws out. And the bottom screw. And grab this plate, and it pulls right off. Now we're going to use a 10mm socket, take all the bolts out of the cover. Just get those all loose. This one down here, we're gonna have to use a wrench to get that one loose and take that out. You can use a ratchet wrench, just because it's pretty tight down there. Try to loosen that up. There we go. Get that one out. I'll just take the rest of them out. Those are going to stay with it. Now we'll just grab the cover and just pull up. Just make sure all the bolts are loose. I'm just going to use a straight blade screwdriver, just get in between here, just try to pry this up. Double check, make sure all the bolts are out. we go. Pull that out. There we go. Pull that out. And it comes right out. Now we're going to clean up the surface area where the gasket is. You can just use a razor blade or gasket scraper. And just take a rag with some brake parts cleaner and just go around on all the surface area. And just try not to get any dirt to fall into the engine. So try wiping away and just do all the way around. Now this is all cleaned up. I'm just going to take a small dab of RTV just in the areas where the front timing cover meets the head, right there, and then down below as well, where it was when we took it off. Just a dab. That's good. The new cover, you can check, make sure the seal's on there. It looks good. I'll just line this up, same way it came out. To make this a little easier, this hook on the back of the engine, we're just going to bend that back a little. Just going to use a pry bar. Just bend this back just slightly. If you want, you can take it out. There's some Torx bolts on the back side. It's just going to be significantly harder to get it back in there afterwards. So take the cover. We took the bolts out of the top and the bottom, put those in after. And just put this on, same way it came off. Just go over the sensor in the back. Try to twist it down a little bit. That to line up and push it down. There we go. And get these bolts started. That's good. And the threaded nuts are going to go on the top in the middle here. Get those lined up. Get those started. And the other ones on the sides and down below. Might be easier to push the grommet on first and then get the nut started. Now evenly go around and just start tightening these down. Just a couple turns to try to tighten the whole valve cover evenly. You can start in the middle and work your way outwards. Same with these front bolts. All right, those are tightened down. I'm going to use a ratchet wrench on that one. All right, we're going to start by torquing these to 70 inch-pounds. Just alternating from the center, working your way outwards. And then we'll go back around again and torque these to 88 inch-pounds. And don't forget this lower one. It's kind of hard to get a torque wrench in there, so tighten that one down as well. All right, that's good. Take the lower cam sensor. You can double check the O-ring, make sure it looks okay. If it looks like it's collapsed, you might want to replace the O-ring. Put a little bit of O-ring lubricant or some silicone on the O-ring. You can get that lined up. And we'll just push that in place. Push that down. Take the screw. That started. Yep. And we'll torque this to 43 inch-pounds. That's good. We'll do the same with the other sensor. Check the O-ring, put some lubrication on the O-ring and get that lined up. Push that in. Get the bolt in. And we'll torque this to 43 inch-pounds. That's good. I'm going to take a new seal. You want to put this on. Get that lined up. And get the bolts started. And snug those down. And that's snug. I take this adapter, make sure it's cleaned off a little bit. Get this lined up in here. You can put a little silicone on the gasket if you want to, just so it goes on smoothly. Push that down. I'll take the bolts, get the bolts started. Now snug these down. Now I'm going to torque these to 50 inch-pounds. That's good. I'm going to take a new O-ring. I'm just going to put some silicone on it just so it stays in place. Or some O-ring lubricant. That's good. Take the servo motor, just make sure the backside's clean. You wipe it off with a rag. If there's a seal stuck on that, you want to take that off. Get this lined up. Then we're going to screw it down. Screw that into place. That's good right there. Now put these screws in. And we'll just tighten these down evenly. I'm going to torque these to 50 inch-pounds. That's good. And we can plug this connector in, lock it down. All right, take this wiring harness, get this lined up. Get that in place. It's good there. There's our retainer right here. Go over here and we'll just clip it down just like that. That looks good. Some of these connectors you can plug in the back for the cam sensor. Push that in. And the other one, you're not going to mix them up because they're only a certain length, so push those in. And lock that one down. That's good. I'm going to take the coils, get those to line up. Just make sure this bracket's out of the way for this one. And push that down. Actually, we'll plug it in before we push it all the way down. Get the connector lined up. Ratchet that down. And push it down in place. Do the same with the other ones. And if you numbered the coils like I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, make sure you put them in the right spot. All right, that's good. Now we can take this AC line, slide this over. Take the 2 nuts, get those started. And tighten these down. Just snug. That's good. Now we're going to attach the ground wires and use the screws, get those lined up. Right there, and the other one on the other side. And we'll snug those down. good. Now I'll put this piece on. Lock it in place. There we go. That's good. Now we'll take the bungee cord off. Take the wiring harness, get that positioned in the bracket. Push that down. And in the case. That's good. All the other wires, if any popped out, push those back in place. That's good. Now that's all lined up. We can get the screws started. And tighten these down. And snug those down. Now we'll take these hold downs and go over the coils, get those started. And snug those down. And do the same on the other one. And take this cover, line this up. There we go. Take the oil cap off the old cover, and we'll put it on the new cover. Now take the power steering pump reservoir, take the bungee cord off, and we'll get this lined up. Now put these nuts on, get those started. And we'll tighten these down. Snug those down. That's good. And connect the connector under the power steering reservoir. Now take the coolant reservoir and connect the connector underneath. And get this lined up. And get the screws started. And tighten these down. snug. That's good. I'm going to take this bracket, get this lined up, get the bolts started. And tighten these down. Now we're going to torque these bolts to 34 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to put these covers on, get these lined up. Looks good. Tighten down these wing nuts. Just about a quarter turn. And do the same on this side. And this wiring harness is supposed to go on the other side of here, so make sure you run that correctly. And take this cover, push this in place. Goes right there. Same on the other side. This locking piece, get that lined up, lock it in place. Cabin filter cover, this lined up, get it started in the back. Just clip it in the back where there's tabs. Fold over the lock. Connect the connectors. And the wing nut right here, just tighten that down. That's good. We'll do the same on that side. Push it down. Lock it down. I take the weather strip, get that lined up. And take these screws, secure those down, same on the other side. Take the cover, get this lined up. Over the studs. And the nuts, get the nuts started. And take the negative terminal, attach it to the battery. Now we'll tighten this down. And that's snug. Give it a wiggle, make sure it's tight. That's good. Take this cover. Position it in place. Take the push pin, slide that in place. If you had another one there, you want to push that in. And take this cover and let it down. All right, that was a fairly easy job, and now you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.